Welcome to Mountaineer Football Tonight, the weekly coaches show for Kings Mountain High School, brought to you by KMHS Sports and the Kings Mountain Touchdown Club.
Welcome, fans, to a special edition of Mountaineer Football Tonight, Coach's Show with Coach Herron. Coach Herron, welcome. Good to see you again.
Yes, sir. You too.
We've not done one of these before. This is pretty cool. We're doing a spring show out here at the beautiful Kings Mountain Country Club, who's also a big supporter of all Mountaineer athletics and Mountaineer football specifically. And we're just blessed to be able to be out here. So what we're going to do is we felt like this would be a good thing to do for our fans and for just people in general, know what's going on with Mountaineer football. Going in or finishing up the spring and then going into the summer. So we got Coach, we're going to ask him a few questions and talk about the spring and going into the summer, and we'll get to that in just a moment after we have a sponsor break. So stay right there and we'll be right back.
Mountaineer Football Tonight is sponsored by HB Jones Appraisals, John Gamble and Carolina Golf, the Kings Mountain Family YMCA, Harris Funeral Home,
Welcome back, Coach. Like I said, good to see you. We're going to jump right into it, and I got some questions for you. And just try to talk about the progress and stuff you've seen so far with the season, spring season. First question I do want to ask is when is officially the last, or what's the official last day of spring practice?
Officially, we could end on April the 15th. So North Carolina has a lot of these kind of rules that you have to navigate through. So the last 10 days of the school year, you can't do anything after school. So you have to go back and count backwards, and so our official last day could be April the 15th. However, that's just a Monday and a Tuesday, so we're gonna cut it off on the 9th. Okay. The 9th will be the last day. So next week on Thursday. This coming Thursday.
Yep. Okay, good deal. And I was going to ask you, this is actually your second spring, because you got hired last year.
Yep.
You know, after the turn of the year. Tell me some things like this spring compared to last spring. It's actually a two-part question. So what's some of the differences you've noticed between this spring and last spring? And then you kind of spoke to this a little bit. What are some of the big differences you've seen between North Carolina and South Carolina with spring practice?
Yeah, well, let me start with the second question. So, you know, every state has different rules, and I will say this just because of my own personal opinion, but the way that South Carolina does it is pretty good.
Yeah.
So what they do is, because of the other spring sports and everything, they just give you the whole month of May. You got the whole month of May to practice all you want to, and 10 of those days you can go full pads, just like you're getting ready for a regular season game.
Right.
So that it's a really good system. They don't have where, you know, the last 10 days of school you can't do anything after school, none of that stuff. So you get a whole month where you can go out. So what we used to do is we would go out 4 days a week, and 2 days we would be in pads and 2 days we weren't. So it was a good teaching day and then a good technique day, and then back and forth. So I really like the way that worked, because it just fit the schedule. In North Carolina, they give you a start date, which was back in April, and then they give you from that start date up until the last 10 days of school. And so we've been going every Monday through Thursday, 4 days a week. We get the same amount of time, but we have days where we can go out in shoulder pads and helmets, but you can't hit. They have the rule where it's just what they call the bump rule, where you can run into each other, but you can't take anybody to the ground, you can't wrap anybody up, which and every coach is going to have a different opinion, but I think it's kind of a waste of time to try to teach.
That's not football.
Tackling football, and then say, hey, you can't wrap up. That's the biggest part of it. So anyway, it is what it is, and we work around all those rules and stay within the guidelines. But that's where it is now. You know, you keep going. Florida, Georgia, and I think Oklahoma, they're having spring scrimmages against other teams.
Wow.
That's where they've gotten to. It's almost what a college, almost like what colleges can do. So it just depends on where you are. So, but for us, the difference, really there hasn't been a big difference between last year and this year.
Yeah.
I think last year, again, going back to the bump rule, we when we got out there last year, we kind of explained it to them. Hey, we can't hit, we can't go to the ground, and they didn't care. We ended up doing some things that we had to like say, all right, stop.
You had to hold them back.
We can't do that. This year, I took the rule book out there to them and I read it to them and said that is what we're allowed to do. And so if we go past that, then we're breaking the rules,
right.
and we could ruin our whole season right here, right now. And our guys have really done a good job with it. They've followed along really, really well. So the other part of it that's different from this year to last year is the number of kids. It just seems like we don't have as many involved, but we know that big senior class, the numbers are a little bit different. Our junior class is going to be relatively small, and so the rising senior class. So that's made a little bit of a difference too. But everything is still the same way. We're doing everything that we did last year. We're doing this year. Right now, trying to install the offense and defense. That's the most important thing that we're trying to get done.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that, and that'll help us. I'm going to ask that in a minute, and it goes to what you also just said. I know you've got several players involved in other sports. Obviously, baseball's still going on. Track is still going on. Based on that, you just said the turnout's not being as great as it was last year, but still pretty good. And then plus, and this was last year too, you also don't have what will be your freshmen yet either.
Right.
Which is going to be a chunk of kids that you'll see in the summer.
Yep.
But based on other sport participation, have you been pleased with the turnout that you've seen?
Yes. Oh yeah, it's been very good. We're doing Monday, Wednesday is offensive days. Tuesday, Thursday is a defensive day, and I've found that's kind of hurt us a little bit because a kid who labels himself a defensive player really doesn't want to go out there on an offensive day or vice versa. And so that's been a kind of a little bit of an issue that, you just learn from it, because we need them all there. We need guys working on both sides of the ball and learning on both sides of the ball. So that's been one thing that I'm going to have to make a note of for next year. And then, of course, the other part of that is coaches. It's the same thing. You have offensive coaches that if there's a day that they're going to miss, they want to miss it on a defensive day and vice versa. And so that's been not really an issue, but a place that we can get better at.
So that actually, Coach, is a question I was going to ask down the line, but since you've talked about it, I'm going to go ahead and do that. The first part of the question was that I'd heard you split up offense and defense, so you said that. What was your reasoning behind choosing that? I mean, you've probably done it before at other places, but like after what you saw last year, because we didn't do it last year, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Or
did we?
No, we did, but it was again because of the numbers.
Yeah.
And the large senior class on an offensive day.
Yeah.
We were still working on defense.
Yeah, because you had
the defensive. There wouldn't be as many defensive guys over there, but they were still working on defense. And then on a defensive day, we still had some guys, like, you have wide receivers that don't play DB.
Right.
You have offensive linemen that don't play defensive line. They were still working. They were still in their own. This year it hasn't been that way.
Right.
The numbers just, if they don't show up, then you can't do anything.
Yeah.
So and that's just something that we got to work out, and we'll fix it next year.
What if any success have you seen from that, like splitting it up like that?
Well, the biggest point and reason for doing that is because this year, again, going back to the numbers, we're going to have guys that play both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
So the expectation was that we would have some defensive guys, and we do. We've got some guys that are working on that are offensive players that are learning defensive positions. We've got some defensive guys that are learning some offensive positions. So we're going to have what we call crossover players. We're going to have those. We just need to do it more consistently.
Yeah. So, question that I've had several people ask me. I think they think I know a lot more than I do, and I don't know. But I'm going to ask this question because this has actually been posed to me. And in fact, the last person that posed it to me, I said, well, you know what? I'm going to be able to answer that because I'm seeing Coach on the Coaches Show. Have you added any new coaches to the staff?
Really, we haven't. We have. We added one guy. His name is Victor Sablon. He's an older gentleman that lives in this area. He's coached football at different places. He's coached in North Carolina. He coached in Florida. He moved to Florida and he coached down there. Then he came back and he's coached at a charter school. And so he was just looking for a place where he could get in. He came to him and just said, Coach, even if you have if you need somebody to help with video or anything, I just want to get involved.
That's
and
nice.
it's like, really, and after talking, he feels comfortable on the offensive side of the ball, and so we're going to use him as a receiver coach with Coach Lineberger, and that'll fill the spot for Jason McManus because he won't be coming back, and so Victor's doing a really good job. I mean, he wants to go by Coach Vic, so we won't call him Coach Vic, but I'm really happy to add him to the staff.
Good. Well, and I know, I mean, you vet him pretty well, so I'm sure it's a good. I mean, he was a good hire.
Well, if the thing that anybody who has experience is that they've got to know something, and he's been doing it over 20 years, so you got to know something.
Yeah.
But he's already been to spring practice a couple times, and this is the main thing. He just jumps right in. He goes to work, and he kind of watches what we're doing, and he's over there coaching it. And that's what you want.
You like that?
Yes, sir.
You can let it go.
The coach has got to go.
So without giving away too much info, because I know you don't, some of it you just don't know, but are there any changes to our offensive and defensive schemes this year?
We're still offensively. We're going to stay spread. We're going to play the power game, just like we did last year. But we are going to add a couple of nuances to it, as long as the personnel stays what it is right now. You might, and just throwing it out there, you may see a little more two-back stuff than what we've done in the past. And when we say that, we're not talking about putting an H back up there like a tight end. We're talking about actually split back gun. And so we've dabbled with that a little bit, and I really like some of the stuff that we're doing. I mean, we could run the triple option. We could run the outside zone game. We've got RPOs, and it could be pretty dynamic because we know that we have to run the football. I mean, we got to be able to run it. And when you have two really good running backs like we have, it only makes sense to get them both on the field at the same time.
Well, it sets up everything for you too.
Well, as a defensive coach, that's what I did. There's two things that I hated to defend. I hated defending trips with a tight end, and I hated defending split back gun.
Yep.
You cram everybody in there, and then everything outside is wide open. So it's just it's a great scheme, and I like watching our guys do it. They're good at it.
So are you pleased with the progress they're making, like picking up stuff? I mean, I know a lot of them aren't learning like new stuff, but I feel like probably you're doing a little more teaching this spring than last spring.
Yes.
Are you pleased with what they're picking up and how they're responding to it?
Very pleased. And we're doing things like in the gap scheme stuff, we're pulling guard and tackle, running just old GT counter and all that stuff, but we're doing it with different guys, and they're having no issue with it. I mean, and even putting a receiver in motion and him ending up in the backfield, that kind of stuff, and they've really done good picking it up. Good. So I'm excited and pleased with what we're doing and how attentive the guys are about it. I mean, they're actually obviously enjoying it, liking it, and then I mean, JoJo, even we put in the triple option play, which we're really not calling it triple option, but it turns into that. And JoJo ran it one time, and he turned around and looked at Coach Bolton. He said, "Coach Bolton, where do you get all this stuff from?" and it's the same old stuff that the Walfords used to run, and teams that you've seen all over the place. So it's really good and they love it.
Well, I think when you said that, it made me think of what Chadwell did when he was at Coastal, and now he's at Liberty. And the first time I saw them run that, and I've been in offenses or been coaching on high school staffs where we've run the triple option or whatever. I've coached with I coached with a man who's in the Hall of Fame here in North Carolina we ran the literal wishbone.
Yes, sir.
And I mean, we ran
That's
it
what
well.
I ran in high school.
Yeah, I mean, and this is in the late '90s. We were still, and we ran it well. I mean,
Right.
it was
It's
a
hard to
machine.
stop.
It is, but like watching what they did, you know, that was a whole new nuance to it.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to defend it, so to speak, because of there's so much movement, and they're off the line of scrimmage. You know, they're behind.
Yep.
So I'm excited because I knew to hear that we're doing it, because I know that's one of the areas that, you know, we're probably, you know, I feel like we've got the talent there
Yeah.
that we can utilize a little better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I know. Now, I know you. I mean, I've not known you your whole life, but I've been around you enough. I know you don't set goals. I know that. And I'm not going to tell you to tell me a goal, because I know
The
you don't
goal
do 'em.
is follow the process. That's the goal.
So that's what I was going to ask you. Well, you answered, because I said, even though you don't set goals, what are you trying to? What were you hoping to, or what are you trying to accomplish with camp this year?
Well, a lot of it's what we just talked about. We wanted to see what these nuances that we were talking about adding to the offense, see if it works and how the players respond to it, which has been exceptional. And then defensively, we're going to have some young guys. We've moved some people around. Right now we're working Eli Lipscomb at linebacker, inside linebacker, where he usually plays defensive end. And
how's that looking?
It looks good. And Eli, he's deceptive. You look at him, you go, he's a big guy. He's obviously slow. He's not slow.
No, he's not.
That kid can run. And so it's really good for him and Antonio Armstrong, both of them inside linebackers. We've got some young guys that we've been working at defensive end that I think can be really powerful in those spots. I mean, they're young, but they've worked so hard in the weight room. And I just see the movement of people. So the goal defensively was to get everything taught and make sure everybody understands what we're doing.
Yeah.
And it's been really good. I mean, they've been so receptive to, just talking about little things like defensive linemen getting your hands on offensive linemen. You got to win that battle first, and these guys they're all into it. You know, they're doing what we're asking them to do. So it's been a good spring for our defense also.
I appreciate. I'm glad to hear that. I'm a defensive guy too, and I love that. And you know, we were talking off air about, and I made the comment, which means nothing revolutionary, but you've now had them for basically a year.
Yeah.
I mean, you've had the rising seniors, the rising sophomores. You know, a year. They're more used to what you're expecting and your expectations and the little things. And I think just from coaching like I have, and I'm no guru, but you're able now. They know exactly what your staff expects of them. Your goals. Excuse me. Your standard, your process.
That's it.
And that helps a lot, because it's not that you didn't have it last year, but going into it, you're teaching everything new.
Right.
You're teaching a new offensive scheme, a new defensive scheme, special teams. You're teaching, and then your expectations for the team.
Right.
And I get that. That's tough.
It is tough.
So it's good to be a whole year away from that.
Yeah, it is. But the best thing is just when you walk in the weight room and you see these kids working the way they're working, it's like we were saying earlier, it's like they have this determination to do it the way that we want it done, and then we let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like I don't want to come in and you don't want to turn kids off.
Yeah.
You know, but I believe, and I've always thought this, kids like structure.
They do.
They want to know where they stand, and but at the same time, you don't want to drive them away. We're not going to make them march in the line, and it was sit in the military. We want them to have fun. We want them to enjoy what they're doing. But in order to be successful, there's little things that you have to do. Yeah. And I've done them, and it's worked. And so I think this group understands, man, he's not going to change. I put it this way, and it was a great thing. We have a TV put up in the field house now. So when you walk through the front door, there's a TV right there.
Yes.
And it's just running the calendar, giving the players information that they need to know. And so when we got ready for right before spring practice, I put up a list up there of seniors, and they were either listed as full-timers, part-timers, or no-shows. And I just put it up there on the board and said, hey, man, these guys have been working. these guys that we see them every now and then, and these guys we ain't seen at all. So, and when the first time it popped up there, one of our younger kids walked through the door and he said, "I told y'all Coach Aaron ain't playing with that attendance. Y'all better get your butt in the weight room."
And it's right there for everybody to see.
And it's great to hear him say that. Yeah, man, you better get in the weight room.
Yeah.
You know, and so they understand it's not going to change. It's going to be the same all the time. We're not going to hit them with something new and different. And everything we do, I think, is fair and consistent, and I think they like that. I mean, and most kids are going to like that.
I agree with that. I've always said that too. Like whether it be teaching or coaching, you know, they may act like they don't want structure. They want to be free.
Yeah.
But no, I agree with that.
Yeah.
They want to have that process down, and then like you said, when it runs itself and they pick up on it, that's so much better.
Yes.
Yeah, that's so much better. Have you had any, I mean, I know it's early and it's the end of the year, so this might not even be the case because typically you don't see much of what I'm about to ask, but going into spring practice or during spring practice, have you seen any new faces that you picked up on? Or
not any new faces from the outside. We picked up Tucker Robinette, who's a basketball player.
Yep.
He come out and is helping us at slot receiver. Mm-hmm. Looks really good.
He's a good athlete.
He's a great athlete, and he can help us a bunch.
Yeah.
But other than him, we really haven't seen anybody like new.
Yeah.
You know, we've heard. You hear all kinds of stuff, and it's like I've always said, until they're walking down the halls of Kings Mountain High School, I don't count them. You know, and so, but hopefully. What we need is there, I believe.
Oh yeah.
And so anything extra would just be cherry on top.
Yeah, I mean it adds for depth and it also gives you more to compete.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I agree with that. No, I agree with that. Do you know of any camps, or aside from the coaches clinic, because we know that's a given in July, but are there any camps that you know the players are attending, bigger camps? And then are you guys as a staff going anywhere this summer?
No, we 5 of us went out to Nashville to the AFCA back in the winter, and I believe we will go to the clinic, but we haven't really talked about going anywhere yet. As far as the kids are concerned, we have a communication app, the band app. And I can't even keep up with them. Every time a coach comes in, or every day in email, I'll get something from a college that says, "Hey, coach, here's our camp dates. Please get it to your kids." And I just hit it, put it on band, send it out.
Yeah.
So the players know where the camps are. So I can't really say that where I know some of them are going to camps, but I don't know who they are or where they're going.
Right.
You know, so because we usually leave that to the parents and the kids to decide. And but there's a lot of camps out there. There's a lot of these things called mega camps. So there's places that, like, I think Mercer University has one. So you go to that one camp, but there's going to be like 70 schools there seeing everybody.
Yes.
And so it's just a good idea for players who are interested in going to college. And because I'm just going to tell you now, recruiting has changed. Back from when I first got started, recruiting is totally different now. I mean, most colleges, they're not going to offer you until they see you.
Right.
You know, and so getting to those camps are very important. Unless you're, a Jadavian Clowney.
Well, of course.
Clowney didn't go to camps, but he didn't have to. He already had all the offers he needed. So, but for anybody who is interested in going, they got to go.
Yeah.
Well,
we spoke about it, Gabriel got one. It's not a mega camp, but like the one he's going to at the end of May. And I'm not trying to talk about my own son, but I'm just going to say he's going to one, and there's going to be, I think, 10 different colleges.
Right.
It's at that camp. He actually got the letter from the coach from North Texas, of all people.
Yep.
But he's going to be there, that coach, but then almost all of the other schools that are there are North and South Carolina schools. I mean, there's a couple that aren't. But
right.
So he asked me what I thought. I said, go. I said, because at the minimum, you're going to get to show yourself to
at least
several.
10. Right. And that's the best way to go.
Yeah.
That really is. And then the bigger schools, like I know Clemson high school coaches used to work their camp.
Yeah.
Well, then the NCAA passed the rule, high school coaches can't work camps anymore. So now they fill in their coaches where the high school coaches used to be with the other colleges.
Yeah.
So I know, like, for example, Newberry College, some of their coaches go up and work Clemson camp.
Yeah.
So there's a way that the other schools can see kids working out and get to know them. But yeah, it's there's a lot to it. And then, like you're saying, some schools they'll have just a lineman camp, and they'll have just a specialist camp, and they'll have just a quarterback camp. You know, you just have to look at every school, and you can obviously find all that information online.
Yeah.
But or get on our band app, and there's a lot of them listed right there for you.
Well, I'm excited that the young men want to go to them. I do think there's merit to them.
Yeah.
I know that part of them can be a moneymaker too, but I think that anytime they're working is a good thing.
Yeah, and really I'm not going to say, for a camp that's connected to a college, it's usually not a moneymaker. The only reason why they charge is because the NCAA made them start charging.
Yeah.
They used to. It was a time when they might call a kid and say, "Hey, we want you to come to camp, and you don't have to pay anything. Just come on." They can't do that anymore. So the ones that I had a kid brought me a letter the other day and said, "Coach, these people want me to come to this camp. You think it's worth it?" And I was like, "Man," I said, "Let me just ask you a question. How much do they charge?" He said, $3,000. I said, "Man, throw that thing away."
Yeah.
Are you crazy?
Yeah.
I mean, and he was like, "That's what I was hoping you'd say." And I was like, "Man, you got plenty of other places you can go to get exposed and people know and see you. Don't spend that kind of money."
Yeah.
I mean, that's a racket.
And now that, like you said, with other colleges coming and working and being there, that's a huge advantage for the players.
Yes.
I mean, I like that idea a lot. What's the summer look like, Coach? How's your schedule looking for the summer?
So we'll start on June the 3rd at 8 o'clock in the morning, and we're going to work Monday through Thursday, and this is the way it'll be all summer long. Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday will be in the morning at 8 o'clock. Wednesday we're going to go in the evening from 6 to 8ish. So we're doing that. So maybe if we can work it out where we can get a 7-on-7 against another team.
Yeah.
So Eddie come in on Wednesday night and we can do some competition. And if not, that's what we're going to use that night for anyway.
Yeah.
So, but it's just something to change it up a little bit, to have an opportunity for something different.
Yeah.
But June the 3rd, and I've already been over to the middle school, met with the rising ninth graders, and I think there was about 50 kids in there, and I think, hey man, that's y'all's first day. June the 3rd, 8 o'clock in the morning, be there. And
go ahead. I'm sorry.
It'll be. I think a lot of people are excited about it. You know, coaches included.
Well, I know the changing of the schedule. When I was told about it, from Gabriel, I was like, I like that. I like that schedule.
Yeah.
Especially the Wednesday part. That's different, and that makes it
different.
Do you already have some 7-on-7s scheduled?
We haven't gotten any lined up yet.
Yeah.
That's one of those things that, in just what I'm used to doing, I usually let my coordinators handle that, and so we haven't really, we're probably not ready for 7-on-7 yet. We've got some more work to do.
Yeah.
So we don't want to jump the gun.
I don't blame you.
Put our kids in a situation where they're not successful, and it's because we're not prepared. We want to make sure we're prepared first.
I don't blame you at all. I am excited to hear about the middle school turnout. Well, the rising ninth grader turnout. Have you been able to talk? Speaking of that, I'll chase this. I don't even have it on here. Have you been able to meet so far at all with Coach Huffstetler, who's going to be the head coach at the middle school?
I've met him once. He came to watch one of our practices one day. He came over one afternoon and met with Coach Bolton for about 2 hours. Great guy, I called one of my old buddy, Coach Tate, over at South Point in Belmont, and just asked him, "Hey man, we got one of your guys," and he said, "Coach, y'all got a good one."
Yeah.
So and you can just tell. I went and watched the rising 8th graders. They had a little spring day the other day, and they had them out there running through bags and doing things like that. So I rode over and just sat and watched them for a little bit. But he seems like he's going to do a really, really good job.
Did they have a good turnout that day?
Yes, it was. I counted 42.
That's
it's hard
a
to
good
count
problem.
with them all moving.
Yeah,
but it was 42.
Yeah, that's a good problem.
So I was happy to see that.
Yeah. Well, and it's important that the programs are married to one another.
That's right.
That they're going to be willing to do some of the things, or try to do some of the things, verbiage,
right,
alignment, that kind of thing, because that helps so much when you get them to you guys and you have to reteach.
I agree.
So, Coach, I'm about to wrap up. I mean, I wasn't planning on this being long anyway. I've got 2 more questions. Is there anything you want to say about the spring or what you've seen so far before we close out?
Well, I think if there's anything that keeps running through my head is that, we all want to be successful. I mean, we want to win. Everybody, that's what it's all about. And you get the guys out there, and when you hit the bottom line, we want to win. But there's a lot of other things going on, and the one thing that I want the community to know, and I think our school already knows it, is that no matter what happens when the season gets here and we get going, there's no way that anybody, and I think our kids would be the first to defend this, could say that we're not working hard.
Right. These
guys are and I tip my hat to Coach Bolton, Coach Trahan, Coach Bell, the weight room. I was saying this earlier that Coach Trahan looked at the statistics. We have iPads in the weight room now that kids put all their information in. They sign in, they put their information in, and it tells them what weight they should be lifting in order to increase. And right now we have, he said 27 kids that's power cleaning 225 or more. And when you're power cleaning 225 pounds as a high school player, that's pretty strong.
Yes.
And so that's what I keep telling our kids is that, man, when we line up next year, I want people to look out there and go, man, them dudes are strong.
Yeah.
And they're doing that.
Yeah.
So, we have a 6-period class that has about 20 kids in it, which is nice. But after school, there's days in there, we have 40 kids in there lifting weights. And so I'm just really pleased with how much effort these guys are giving and how much you can tell they truly want to be good at what they do.
Yeah. And that's something you can't put in people.
No.
That's what they've got to find.
That's right.
And I'm glad to hear that. I mean, as a fan, but also as a father of a player, because how teenagers are, they don't tell you anything.
No.
They don't communicate with you hardly at all. So trying to get stuff out of my own is like trying to get water out of a rock sometimes.
Yeah.
But I have had he has told me some things, and hearing that from you is real refreshing because the fan side of me is excited.
Right.
Because my 2 favorite months of the year are May and June, just because I love the time of year. But it also makes me think of that lull after the season. It always seems like it's so long from the last playoff game, however far you go, until you start again. But then, by the time you get to where we are right now, it makes me more excited because we're talking,
it's right around the corner.
Summer practice starting in like 2-3 weeks, whatever, and it's time again.
Yeah.
And I'm excited. I'm excited about our team and talking to you and hearing what you're saying. And I love what you guys are doing and what you stand for. That's the biggest thing. As a father, I want to say that too, because what you guys are teaching these young men, aside from football, is a big thing. The little things.
Right.
And that makes a huge difference and a big impact on them. And you kind of said this a second ago, but I'm going to let you give you one more shot if you want anything as we close out. What's your message for our fans and for the community as we close out for the spring and head into the summer and look forward to the season?
Well, I think the biggest message is we appreciate the support.
Yeah.
That's the biggest message. I had some friends that used to big supporters of South Point and Rock Hill that came to one of our games this year, and I had to go to the York County Sports Hall of Fame the other night because one of my former players was getting inducted, and I ran into that guy. He also used to run our concession stand, so he was at every game. And they came over as a group. They go to a game every weekend, and they came over as a group. And when I saw him at the Hall of Fame, he walked up to me, and there was somebody else standing there, and they were like, "Well, he told that person, I'm gonna tell you, if you haven't been to a game at Kings Mountain, you need to go because that's how high school football should be." He said it's one of the best atmospheres I've ever seen. So that is that's an awesome thing, and our kids, I hope they I hope they understand and know that it's not like that everywhere.
Right.
And they need to eat it up.
Yeah.
Because it'll be some of the best memories they've had
agree.
in their whole life. So to the community, just thanks for the support and keep standing behind us and keep praying for us because it's a long year.
Yeah, and we hope it's real long.
Yes.
I wouldn't mind to still be talking to you.
That's right.
Late into November, early December, but we'll see what happens. But
Right.
No,
Right.
Coach, we appreciate it, and I know Drew, for the face of the group. Drew's behind the camera right now. We'll do a kickoff show. I think, Drew, we're going to do one this year.
August.
Yeah, we'll probably do like we did last year. We'll do like a season kickoff show. And I don't know that we'll bother Coach because he'll be starting practicing, but we may get maybe like do a side interview and get him to get us some like summer practice update before we go into the season and go from there and get him to update us in. But we'll talk to the fans again then. And I agree with Coach. I appreciate all the support, watching our show each week. We appreciate the country club letting us use it. Just one more. The restaurant and eating the food. When I walked through, I wanted to stop and eat, but I had to get out here and talk.
I about grabbed that hamburger off
I'm
that
telling
guy's
you, that
plate,
was pretty
man.
good.
That thing looked pretty good.
Just one more is just letting us have this atmosphere or this space out here to do the show today. We appreciate that, and I hope you guys will come and support them. All of our sponsors that I know we've had for this past season and in the season coming up, thank you for that. I always give a plug for the Touchdown Club. Remember, that's coming up, the Touchdown Club golf tournament. Y'all said the 17th?
17th.
It's coming up. Some of y'all are involved in that. But also, we just want you to join the Touchdown Club in general because it supports, as I tell you all the time, all things Mountaineer. They support everything with Kings Mountain High School and all Kings Mountain athletics. And you can join that at kmtouchdownclub.com. And thank you for them for all their support. So we're going to wrap up and appreciate you joining us and watching. Coach, thank you very much. Good luck
y'all.
rest of the spring, what little bit's left, and then the summer. And looking forward to seeing good things.
Thank y'all very much.
All right.
Great.
Thanks for tuning in.
Mountaineer Football Tonight is sponsored by HB Jones Appraisals, John Gamble and Carolina Golf, the Kings Mountain Family YMCA, Harris Funeral Home,